No, I think because it's it's an F-18, we're ready to go, and we've been pretty much proactive on those types of imaging for for neuroendocrine tumors for imaging, and we almost were a reference center for there. I just couldn't swing it with administration otherwise. So no, it's going to go very straightforwardly, and the head technologist I've worked with for 10 years. He's just far ahead of the curve. So whatever looks good, he makes sure that it comes online.
Okay. And in terms of future use, can you think of any other of PSMA PET scanning for prostate cancer? Can you think of any other obstacles or opportunities?
I mean, the obstacles are always persuading Medicare that it's the right thing for their budget. And, if you catch this earlier, then there's less treatment required. And the Canadians have done studies like that, showing it's cost, not for PSMA, but for other things, showing it's cost effective. So that would be an interesting study to do. That's the only obstacle. I think the opportunities are trying to find so we're detecting where the cancer is. You wonder if you can even refine the technique for places like the spine. I have a patient right now who has a T1 vertebral body lesion, and actually he's not quite oligometastatic. It's greater than 5. He's not symptomatic, but it sure looks like he's going to become symptomatic because it's the whole vertebral body. But we can't really see it well enough. I wonder with PSMA whether we'll be able to refine that better. Actually, and I apologize, I'm thinking as we're talking, it's the collimator design that's the problem in the nuclear camera, but it gives you no better than a 0.7 centimeter resolution. It would be interesting to do like a microcollimator where you could look for orthopedic issues of spinal cord compression versus degenerative disease and try to have like a much tighter collimation, albeit over smaller areas. It's not a general purpose use, but in academics, that would be pretty neat to be able to get very high resolution.
Do you foresee there ever being a PSMA agent labeled with a SPECT agent like technetium or?
It could be. The only issue there is then you don't have the CT superimposition. So for facilities like hospitals that don't have PET scanners, this would be a way around just not being able to do it.
But if there's a PET scanner available, that would be the preferred way.
Oh yeah, it's like PET bone scan versus regular bone scans. Whenever I get a regular bone scan, I wince because you can't see. You can't see which vertebral body you don't know whether it's arthritis or tumor. And it's like, why didn't they send the patient over to us and we do a PET bone scan?
Well, and I remember when they really had to fight to be able to get the PET bone scan to be standard of care over the SPECT. I don't know.
Yeah,
if that's still the case or not.
It sort of is. I mean, when we brought the 2 PET scanners into the affiliate, we did them, but we didn't get reimbursed for them. And it was 3 years. And at that time, it was cheaper to do a PET bone scan than a regular bone scan. And unfortunately, economics has changed. But I kept shaking my head and saying, why would Medicare approve it? It's cheaper and it's better. Yeah. Although it'd be nice to have it where you can only use technetium, yeah, so I think it's a good option for those institutions. But still,
Uh,
PET bone scans can be difficult, and they'll just approve a regular bone scan.
Now, if radiopharmaceutical-based PSMA therapies were to become available, do you think that would increase your use of PET PSMA imaging?
Oh, yes. You know, I think that's a great idea. And, so, well, I mean, it's true in other areas, and I think it's only a matter of time till it happens there. Again, when I was chair at the affiliate, I brought in, shamefully forgetting it, but it's a immunoconjugate for, lymphoma, for low-grade recurrent lymphoma. I mean, it was remarkable. 86% response rate with a 12-month average response in patients refractory to everything else. And the side effects were like 1% got nausea. That was it. So to have the same type of selective, immunoconjugate would be wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Zevalin was the drug. Yeah.
Now, if you think about a year from now, and this may not be any different from the answer you gave me previously, but what % of your patients do you think you'll order a PSMA scan for in a year?
Right. And in my usual splitting, the question is what I'll order and what we'll actually get. So,
you can give me both those estimates if you want.
So adding it all together, I mean, it's going to be at least 30% that I'll order it on, and I expect to get turned on over the first year on maybe 60% of those. So we'll end up with, 15% getting it. But by the next year, I expect it will be, close to 30%, and we'll want to order 50% for patients.
Okay. Do you do peer-to-peer a lot for those?
I guess because it was done at the other center, the academic center, I haven't had to do the peer-to-peer.
Oh, maybe the radiology department does it, huh?
But I like peer-to-peers because I win.
That's good.
Yeah, I helped out at the proton center. Protons are a terrible idea, but I helped out, and I had a 90% reversal rate.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And one, I got it, I asked it, the billing person was listening in, and I said, how did I get it? She said, you just kept on talking with data until it was easier for them to
read. Perhaps they should advertise that technique to other doctors, huh?
Well, I mean, you go into it having your data crisp and knowing what they're going to ask you, and then you don't get surprises sprung on you.
Yeah. If we were talking about a year from now, overall, how frequently you might be able to order and actually scan patients with PSMA. Can you divide that into pre and post treatment? So what % of your pre-treatment and post-treatment down the line might
be
able to get
right. The insurance companies look more at cost than diagnosis specific. Mm-hmm. So, but I think they're going to more respond to the post-treatment because they understand that it's not so clear as to where the disease is. Mm-hmm. So if overall I'm getting 60% approval, it's maybe 45% approval in the in initial presentations, and 70% in the recurrences. Okay. I hope I'm not overly doing it, but I'm looking at what happened with Exhuman. Initially, we had a lot of trouble getting approval. It was on the books, but the insurance companies were like, no. and